Everyone, thanks for checking out the podcast. Steve Buzza here, his partner in crime.
Megan Buzza.
And today's episode, we are basically, it's almost a part two to one we did a few weeks ago. We talked about, if you have the opportunity to hit golf balls at home. The previous one was what do you do if you don't have technology? Today, we're saying, well, what if you have some technology? So before we even get into it, like and subscribe. We're doing this every Wednesday. We have kept true to our word. So like and subscribe, if nothing else, to support our dedication. And hopefully we'll get better and better and better and start getting guests on. I know we keep promising that. So we promise we'll do it every Wednesday. Maybe we got lots of friends as well, Megan. We should get into that. But get some comments down below. Are you somebody that has somewhere to hit at home? What's your setup? If you have some technology, I think we'll probably end up talking a lot about launch monitors today. If you have a system that will allow you to collect some ball data, which one do you use? Do you like it? What would you like it maybe offered that it doesn't? It would be nice to just get a few comments in there. So if you are someone who is thinking of investing, maybe not in the summer, but when we get into the fall and winter, you can use some previous experiences of others to make a really good informed decision. So we are extremely fortunate. We are currently sitting above our garage.
Yeah, in the bag room.
In the bag room. And Indoor Golf Shop really helped us set up the simulator kind of...
Our dream golf room here.
It basically is. It's real cool in here. And
and they're a local company, which they're a local also company. Very cool.
Yeah. But what I like about this room is it's definitely ours. There's some limitations, and when you do something at home, I would prefer the ceiling to be like a foot taller. That would
this thing's help. Pretty wedged in there. They set us up with the perfect fit that just wedges right in, and it utilizes the entire space that we have.
Well, what I liked about it is, so if you are struggling with the dimensions, you can kind of go custom. Mm-hmm. This one here, we actually saw off a little bit. This room it would have been easier to get like a perfect square simulator, but then when you're projecting, it doesn't look as good. Mm. So we've almost got like that widescreen kind of look. But yeah, them helping out was massive. I think if I'd done it by myself, things maybe wouldn't have gone.
It would have been stressful. Yeah. They know what they're doing.
But we're going to talk again, and we're not. Today's aim isn't to talk through all the differences in the launch monitors. I think we both actually have a lot of knowledge in that, and if that's something that you want, let us know, and we can happily do that. But I want to talk about more how you utilize it. We are two coaches, two very good coaches, I might add. And what we want is how can you utilize it to play better? So we have kind of picked 3 things that we can do to utilize. Yep. Megan, what were your 3?
So my 3, I love the data it gives you, particularly if you haven't had a chance to really dial in your numbers on carry and total. I think if that was the only numbers that someone looked at, but if you had accurate numbers, that would make a huge difference.
And I love that you have said carry and total, not let's look at every number that the launch monitor is willing to give you. Mm-hmm. I think when you're working by yourself, so again, in this home scenario, getting an understanding of just how far you hit it can be an absolute game changer.
Because I think that is something that can scare people away from the tech, is it gives you a lot of information. You don't need to know every single number, but let's hone in on some really important ones when you're looking at it.
Correct.
Number 2 is I like the game ability to kind of focus on more specifically, are you working on targets or visualization, or just, obviously you can have fun and have a different objective that you're trying to go for. Okay. And then lastly is the ability to play on golf courses all across the world, and you can play quickly and work on your on-course training without having to go chase your ball, having to get chased by people. All those factors of being on the golf course, you can get that stress out of there. The conditions of of Texas.
And we'll find, and I've worded a couple of them slightly different, but I've put dry conditions. So I have a background biomechanics. I did a research master's. So when I was running those studies and trying to answer my research topic, um, I actually did do some of it. I did some of the initial work outside, but I did most of it when I was looking at the swing itself. I did it indoors, dry conditions that outside elements can't influence. I appreciate that we play outside, and they definitely do have an influence. But when I'm trying to build my swing and build my golf game, if I can feel like I have more control, I can get to know my game before I start to take it out. I use so in a practice session, you need to build it and then you need to test it. We go back to the analogy I use is you need to let the mechanic build a really good car, but then you have to give it to the driver to take it out. The mechanic doesn't win you the race, but the driver can't win the race if you don't have a good. You don't have to have the best, but you need something that has somewhat reliable and can offer the things needed to be successful.
Yeah, I like that.
I think what golfers sometimes do is they get a little too heavy on being the mechanic. And that comes with two issues. One, you're not letting the driver actually see what you can do. You built it, but you didn't test it. You didn't actually go, I wonder what. You've probably got a golf game that is actually capable of shooting lower than the best score you've ever shot. But you're so busy trying to put on a new spoiler and the problem is there's always something else you can change. So you start going around in circles.
Yeah.
So what I like is, yes, we can get the dry conditions, so that's where we can be the mechanic. With then, and I've put on course, I love how you put games. So you go, look, I build it and then I test it. So as soon as I've hit a few shots that I feel good at, I go, I wonder what I can do with this. So then I go into games. If you're on the driving range outside, it can literally be, look, I need to change clubs. I'm going to hit it through that gap. I wonder if I hit 5 shots, how many I can hit through that gap. Sometimes it's aiming at a flag on a green and going, I'm going to try and hit a ball on the green, but right of the flag, on the green, left of the flag, on the green, right of the flag. It's just variable enough.
Instead of just hitting into an open space on a driving range and then expecting it to go really well when you go onto the golf course. That's why a lot of people will say, like, oh, I'm so good on the range, and then I go to the course. It's like you're measuring it completely different. You're not actually testing it.
You do, and I work with a golfer, and great man, and he loves practicing. And he's openly said, look, I actually prefer to practice. He was then playing in an event, and I said, look, you need to behave like you do when you practice. So that can sometimes be the dry conditions. I'm in a stressful situation. I'm standing behind the ball. I'm just going to imagine the cage that I have for my either screen or for my net, and I'm just going to whack the ball into there. Something that you're used to doing. With the mechanic, that analogy I've just used, being the mechanic, putting stuff onto the car, that's the physical side of it. There's a mental side of it as well. Something that I don't think gets talked about enough is if you don't practice your pre-shot routine, when you then try to implement a pre-shot routine on the course, I think it can arguably be detrimental because you freak yourself out. I use
now all of a sudden we have to do this routine that we haven't practiced at all.
So I use this phrasing. If you're going to practice lazy, play lazy. And I don't mean that as an insult. I go, if you're very sporadic and all you do is drop balls and whack, when you go on the course, you're going to actually feel better and probably utilize more of your practice if you play in the same manner. A lot of us aren't actually that structured, like personality-wise.
Yeah.
I'm a perceiver by nature. I don't like being constrained too much. So sometimes on the golf course, I'll go, look, I want to really control everything. That's not really how my personality dictates me getting into the zone.
And even though you're like trying to do the right thing, it's not really in line with your personality.
Correct. And something that I have found, especially when we talk personality, shot shapes, feeling good, I feel that a lot of the time we find that on the course, but we don't, we find that on the range, but we don't realize that was what we were doing, because the problem when things feel good is you don't really think too much. So it's almost, when I do that, build it and test it, I build it and I go, you know what, it feels great because all I'm doing is really thinking about X, Y, Z. And then I go, look, let's do some games thinking of that and seeing if it transfers. Can I give you a great example? I am swinging a plus number at the minute, so I'm hitting little draws. I was hitting fades, so I had a practice session and I started hitting some push fades, but because I didn't feel like I was controlling the ball very well. But I did it like 2 or 3 times, and when you get that feeling of, oh my god, I can do this. This is going to allow me to play great golf. But that sample size is really small. So I then went and tried it on the course. It really didn't work. So you see, so
you're still like renting it. You weren't owning it.
I think it was simpler than that. I think it was, look, you just basically, in your practice session, you were a little stressed. You tried something new, which gave you a bit of freedom. You happened to hit 3 good shots in a row. I'm a pro. I should be able to hit 3 good shots in a row. If you go in, and I'm a pro, this applies to everybody that's watching. If you take 100 balls and just whack 100 balls, you will have a section of shots, 5, 6, maybe 10 shots that will all go good. Probability alone. The likelihood is you'll just get into a groove.
Yeah.
But what I found, so I built it. I go, I like this. I tested it. I go, oh, it doesn't work. So I went back. I go, oh, look, I like what I'm doing. So again, that analogy, I was watching the F1 yesterday. It was Father's Day, so I'm allowed. I went in and I go, look, the mechanic doesn't build them a car a day before and then leave. The driver drives it around. He can come in and give input. Look, it's oversteering. Okay, we'll make a small change. Oh, that's better. So it's a cyclic process, but people cyclic around the mechanics, I find. So it's going, look, let's build, test. Oh, that's what happened. Small adjustment. Building phase isn't as big. Test. So you see through a week, and and I forget where this stat came from, but it said if you do 20 minutes a day, after a year, you'll be better than 95% of the population that do whatever you were practicing.
Yeah, that's
so.
Crazy.
Again, what can happen, unfortunately, is sometimes the theory is hard to do, and then when you practically do it. So another good one is it's better to do 10 minutes a day than do an hour. And not because you'd have done 10 minutes more if you did every day. You'll have a day off. But if you did the same amount. So let's say 6 days a week you do 10 minutes, or the other person does 1 day a week and does an hour, you'll get more out of the
repetitive study. Yeah. Daily.
Easy for me to say. It's easy for me to sit here and go, that's what you need to do. And you go, yeah, but I've got 3 kids, a job, this, and it takes me an hour there and back to go to the range. Like it's not viable. That's where it's sometimes nice to have something at home.
Yep. Throw Elmo on, start hitting balls for 10 minutes with Elmo in the back, done.
Done. And you might go and like, today is about technology. If you don't have somewhere to hit, swinging the club for 10 minutes a day. Or
brushing the grass outside for 10 minutes a day.
Thinking about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, visualizing for 10 minutes.
Yeah. So you see, we've got that. I love, like I said, with the pre-shot routine, I start to run the program. Do the mindset stuff.
What's your third one
So
here?
we've been we are segueing in sensationally, man. So we've just talked about kind of launch monitors and, being able to project golf courses, which again would be launch monitor.
Go anywhere you want in the world,
there are other training aids that I'll use.
Okay. So what do you got?
So Sportsbox AI. So that is a app that you can use off of your phone.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm practicing and I want to like something that I was working on is I wasn't turning my pelvis enough, so I can have that running and it will tell me every swing how far my pelvis moved. So you see, I'm getting great.
Yeah, that has awesome visuals too.
So awesome visuals, but it's not opinion. I always find golfers sometimes practice too safe. So we go, look, that's what it is. I definitely did it. No, you didn't. Oh, I can do more. So you see, it can build you in. It's one of your mentors.
Jason Bale. Yeah, Jason always says you can't monitor what you can't measure.
Yeah.
So just being able to use that technology to just measure it, make sure you know, and now you can monitor and manage it.
And that's great advice. So you see, the sports box is allowing me to do that. I've got a Focus Calm. So Focus Calm is a band that you put on your head, and it actually records your brain waves. So if you try to go, look, I'm just going to, again, create the greatest swing ever, and then I'm going to hope I click in the moment that I need to access this, it won't happen.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, it might happen, but it probably won't happen when you want. I love the club championships. So a guy's playing great, and then he gets into the club championships, doesn't play very well. Rory has got that monkey off his back, but playing great, you get to the Masters when you desperately need to play well, then you can't find that spark.
Yeah.
You can't.
How do you bottle that up?
You
and
can't get into the
keep
flow.
accessing it, yeah.
But we go, look, we can work on the physical, we can work on the mind. If you're a grumpy so and so, you go, oh, it's not my fault. I'm that way inclined. You can work on it. Hey.
I'm like, how can we use this here, non-golf?
Because I got my Focus Calm. I just haven't used it that much yet.
Focus Calm. Put it on. Okay.
Yes. So again, we can work on the mental stuff. So that Focus Calm is something. A lot of the time when it comes to learning, and this would be for another episode, but like your sleep, your mind, your recovery, all of these other things influence how much you retain in your practice, how much of the learning you retain. So like getting yourself in a good headspace. That's why sometimes rushing to the range to try and cram, you get back and more frustrated. I'd rather you just stayed at home, swing some perfect practice. So again, this wouldn't be necessarily technology based, but making a swing, seeing, visualizing. Spoke about that in the non-technology one. But that Focus Calm, I'm using technology to work on my mental improvement, and then I put my Kepco as well. Kepto. Always say it wrong. That's why you'll never see me.
It's like how you say thinking or whatever, and all the things. You just add extra K's and C's and stuff into it. So Capto. Your putting software.
Megan, Jonathan Ross was you don't even know who Jonathan Ross is, do you? He had a little speech impediment, but he was one of the best presenters in England.
Wow.
So please, maybe my superpower is my inability to say things correctly. But anyway, you say it.
Capto, the putting software.
I'm gonna dub it in the next ones. So it'll be, hey, Tapto. I can now measure my strokes.
That's a cool one because it allows you to have the tech that most of the time is like needs to be like pretty bulky, just right on the top of your club, and there you go.
And they do so obviously because I coach with it, I have like the professional one. They do have, I think it's the EZ, is it?
The Easy.
So they have a consumer one, and the sports box, that you can use them outside, but I'd like to use them inside first.
Like you said, you've got the controlled environment.
Correct. So I build it, and then I might go outside with it, still having it on, and go to the testing might be, can I do it outside?
Yeah.
But
it's just like how I don't like to work on break with people on the same time that they're trying to work on their stroke.
Yeah.
Right? So I like to segment that. Like if you're working on stroke, do it on a straight putt.
Yes.
And then work on break separately, work on speed separately. So you kind of break them all down.
So then we go, build it, test it. What you can do in an indoor environment. I build it. I can even have the range mode on. as soon as I feel like I'm making some progress, I'll test it. I'll either go into a game or I can go onto the golf course. Those things are really hard to do outside. Sometimes most golf courses, it, you might not even have access to the course, but it might not even be viable. Most courses don't like you just, now I'm going to randomly go out and play 3 holes. All the time. So I can do 3 holes in here in under 10 minutes. If I do 3 holes out on the course, it's going to be another hour.
Yeah.
So can you see? So I can really utilize my time.
You haven't seen how busy these courses out here in Texas,
Yeah.
the public courses. They are busy.
But it's busy because golf is booming.
Busy. Yeah,
and
golf is booming.
And that's good. But
like to go do a playing lesson, it's a totally different.
But I like doing playing
so
lessons.
Hard. I love playing lessons on the simulators.
To simulate because
you get so much out of it.
You can do it in an hour.
Yeah.
A simulator, like you said.
Like talk about productivity. That just.
Yeah.
You can.
And again, there's different.
Get so much more efficiency.
And again, it depends where you are on your journey. I actually like, so if you're an elite player and it's slow, I like the fact we have to be slow and wait. Mm-hmm. You've got to train.
Because you have to train and
wait.
that, yeah.
But again, what I love, we can build it. You'll notice I gave some examples, the more coaching-based ones. You want to enjoy your golf. So if you're doing it to try and score better, some of those that I mentioned are going to be helpful. The distance, carry, and total are going to be huge for you. But if you might just go, hey, I just want to enjoy golf. You might want to hit balls in there.
Yeah.
Just hit.
I think that has been one of the huge things for you is just being able to like put in more reps when you wouldn't have, especially like you being at your club, how many rounds you've been able to play since you've been there versus now you're playing like so much more.
Well, I can just play a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like I've been here for 2.5 years. I've only played 18 holes a handful of times. My first year, we do a birdies for kids for the North Texas PGA. And so we play 4 rounds in a day.
Oh, wow.
And I upped the amount of rounds, 18-hole rounds I had played at the club in that day. I think I'd...
Because, like, for you, at the end of the day, you're teaching all day. So, getting in a few holes at the end of the day before you hit the traffic home is about average, right? Where now you can come and just...
Yeah, well, if I can, but it's nice, like when the kids have gone to bed, you've gone to bed, I can come up here and just play a few holes. You can do 18 holes in like 45 minutes.
That's great.
Before I had an event at the beginning of the week, I was deliberately trying to get out on the golf course more rather than just hitting balls. So you go, look, I probably needed to build, but I'm like, look, I've got an event. So I'm going to be tested, so I've got to test it now. It's kind of the mechanics trying to make you the perfect thing. And you go, look, we'll do that next week. Is there 4 wheels on? Bang. I spoke about that at length. I did a recap in a couple episodes ago, when I did it on my own. So, technology, really, really helpful. Price points, very, very different.
Very doable now.
We have a incredible relationship with indoor golf shops. So if you are like thinking of getting new equipment and you kind of want more like reviews, we can either do it in this podcast or we're going to be doing videos on the YouTube channel. So that could be something nice because lots of good options, different price points, but good options that still give you stable data. One of the big things I would say with technology is if the numbers it gives aren't that accurate, arguably it can be more of a detriment than a help. But over the last few years, so many great options. And it's like, we talk about Tony Finau hitting into a mattress. Now you could put a launch monitor by the side and still find out how far it carried.
Yeah.
That's how far it's come. I feel blessed that I get to, if nothing else, I get to hit balls. What can happen? We turn pro. I adore coaching. Coaching is my passion, and I would say it's my calling. But what it can do is it actually gets in the way of actually playing. So having this, being able to play, I feel very fortunate.
Yeah, and I think just in general, like for our family, it's been big too. Just having this room, like the kids always know, 1 and 3, they're going, oh, Daddy's in the golf room, or let's go up, and they want to play around on the air brake putt out,
They like.
and Yeah, just to have the ball come back to them, and they like this has been their introduction to golf, and we've taken a very like slow approach to that, just of like really small exposure to golf for them.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? You hear Tiger talks. Obviously, Charlie is mad in golf, but he says Sam, so his daughter, almost isn't into it as much because he was away so much.
Yeah, she correlates golf taking her dad away.
Yeah, so like, again, you know, like I work a Saturday and a Sunday, so when you know, and I'll obviously when they're a bit older, I'll try and change that, but not having it that golf pulls daddy away. It's actually we can actually enjoy it as a family.
Yeah,
and that's big because you know, especially where I work, I'm not actually that close to here, so it's not actually that viable. Especially our 3-year-old, he's a runner, so that's another reason. At least we can contain him in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, that's more of that entertainment, bringing family together. We've got that performance side, and again, use it to your advantage. Use it when you need it. I did a session in here yesterday. I didn't have any of the technology going. Very much was doing what we talked about in that previous episode of when you don't have technology available to you. Just because you have it available doesn't mean you need it. I am a strong believer, and I love how you put it with Jason. You know, if you can't basically test it, if you can't measure it, you can't really test it.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I do like it to work in the background. As soon as it becomes the main thing out in front, whether it's practicing by yourself, whether it's maybe it's your coach. You know, sometimes if the coach has invested a lot of money in a piece of technology, they're kind of excited about it, but they're trying to get return of investment. So it's just like, oh, why the hell are we always using that thing?
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it should always be just in the background, giving us data, giving us information if we need it, and it's enhancing the experience.
I love what you said too about how you have this cage here where when you're practicing, you start to kind of imagine what's going to be happening, and then now bringing that out when you play, visualizing that controlled space.
Absolutely.
It's powerful.
But you have to build and test doing that. So you see, if you're just used to doing that, and to be honest, if you like just whacking it into the net, go out on the course and just visualize, bang. I actually think, personally, I think like with driver, trying to over control the driver is really not a good thing. So just feeling like you just bang it into a net, I actually see it
has a freedom to it.
Freedom. I see very few negatives coming from that. You go, yeah, but I might hit it wide, and you go, that's not what I've seen in my experience.
Yeah. It does kind of bring it more that intermediate target. It narrows that focus potentially for a lot of people.
Yeah. So we go there. So thanks for watching. Like I said, get some comments down below. We've been enjoying having these chats. We're trying to just grow this podcast. Again, once the questions start coming up, especially questions that we're like, look, we got a friend that's kind of his or her speciality, we'll start pulling people into the...
We might have some friends.
Megan might have some friends.
But what kind of technology are you guys using right now? Where do you go to use the technology? Is it in your backyard? What kind of setups do you have?
That's a real good question. Because, like, especially the public driving ranges, you know, they're starting to really invest in, you know,
And when you're there, are you using the tech? What's preventing you from using it?
Yeah, I love that.
Let's hear these comments down below.
Get some comments down below. And as always, stay happy, stay safe.
Hope to catch you soon.